When I talk about gratitude, I don't mean the kind that we post about on good days. I'm talking about the kind that saves you when your world has collapsed. The kind that whispers, you still have something left, even when you've lost almost everything. Gratitude isn't a reaction, it's a decision. A decision to see the light when all you can feel is darkness. I learned that being grateful is not about having a perfect life. It's about recognizing that life itself is a gift, even in its most imperfect form. There was a time when I thought gratitude was only for the lucky ones, for people whose lives were easy and comfortable. But life has a way of teaching you that true gratitude is born in the fire, not the sunshine. It's easy to be thankful when everything is going right. But when things fall apart, when your dreams are shattered, when people walk away, and you have nothing but pain to hold on to, that's when gratitude becomes your greatest strength. Because in that moment, you realize that even in brokenness, you are still breathing. You are still here, and that means you still have purpose. Gratitude changes the way you see everything. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? You start asking, what is this trying to teach me? You stop seeing obstacles as punishments and start seeing them as lessons. You begin to notice the beauty in small things, the smile of a stranger, the warmth of sunlight on your face, the sound of laughter that fills the silence. Gratitude teaches you to look beyond what's missing and to cherish what remains. It teaches you to count your blessings, not your scars. When you start living with gratitude, your heart softens. You stop competing, comparing, and complaining. You start embracing life with all its ups and downs because you understand that every chapter has meaning. The pain that once felt unbearable becomes the soil where strength grows. You realize that you can be grateful for the storms because they showed you how strong your roots really are. You can be thankful for the closed doors because they guided you toward the right ones. You can even be grateful for the people who left because their absence taught you to stand on your own. Gratitude doesn't take away the pain, but it transforms it. It doesn't erase your struggles, but it gives them meaning. And that's the most powerful shift a human being can experience, to move from, I hate what happened to me, to, I'm grateful for what it taught me. Because gratitude doesn't just change how you feel, it changes who you become. It gives you peace in chaos, hope in despair, and courage when fear tries to silence you. So if you want to change your life, start by saying thank you, not just for the good days, but for the hard ones too. Because gratitude isn't about having more, it's about seeing more. And once you see life through the lens of gratitude, even your darkest nights begin to shine. There comes a moment in life when you realize that the world will not always clap for you. People will doubt you, question you, label you, and sometimes even walk away when you need them most. In those moments, you have two choices. Either let their voices define who you are, or let your own voice rise above the noise. Self-belief begins when you stop waiting for someone else to tell you that you can. It begins when you decide that even if no one stands beside you, you will still keep moving forward. I learned that believing in yourself is not about being fearless. It's about choosing faith over fear every single day. It's about waking up, looking in the mirror, and reminding yourself that you are not your mistakes, you are not your past, and you are not the opinions of others. You are a work in progress, and that's perfectly okay. The journey of self-belief is not about becoming someone new, it's about coming home to yourself. Many people think self-belief is something you are born with, but it's not. It's something you build, brick by brick, through every challenge you overcome. Every time you fall and get back up, every time you face rejection and keep trying, every time you choose to rise when giving up would be easier, that's when self-belief grows. The truth is, no one can give it to you and no one can take it away from you. It's your inner power, your quiet courage, your silent promise to yourself that you will not give up. There will be times when life feels unfair, when doors close, when the people you trusted don't believe in you anymore. But that's when you must remind yourself, you are not here to prove your worth to anyone. You are here to fulfill your purpose. And purpose doesn't need permission. The more you depend on others for validation, the more power you give them over your happiness. When you learn to validate yourself, to celebrate your small wins, to forgive your flaws, to embrace your journey, you become unstoppable. Self-belief isn't loud. It's quiet, steady, and unshakable. It's that inner voice that whispers, I can, when the world shouts, you can't. It's that strength that carries you when everything else crumbles. And the beautiful thing about self-belief is that it grows stronger in adversity. The harder life hits, the deeper it roots itself in your heart. Because every challenge becomes proof that you are capable, that you are resilient, that you are enough. So believe in yourself, not because the world tells you to, but because your heart knows you can. Trust your journey, even when you can't see where it's leading. And remember, when you start believing in yourself, you stop waiting for miracles because you realize you are one. Resilience is one of those words that sounds beautiful until life forces you to understand what it truly means. It's easy to talk about being strong when everything is going your way, but real strength reveals itself when nothing does. Resilience is not about pretending that pain doesn't exist. It's about facing it head on and saying, "You will not define me." It's about falling to your knees, crying your heart out, and still choosing to rise again the next morning. Because resilience isn't the absence of struggle. It's the art of rising stronger because of it. Life will test you in ways you never imagined. You will lose people you thought would never leave. You will fail at things you believed you were born to do. You will break, sometimes more than once. And in those moments, resilience is what keeps you from giving up. It's the quiet fire inside you that refuses to die. It's that inner whisper that tells you this is not the end. This is a new beginning. Resilience is not about being unbreakable. It's about learning to rebuild yourself, piece by piece, after life has shattered you. You might not be the same person you once were, but maybe that's the point. Maybe life breaks us only to rebuild us into someone stronger, wiser, and more compassionate. Every scar tells a story, not of defeat, but of survival. Every tear shed is a reminder that you cared deeply, that you lived fully, that you dared to feel, and that, in itself, is strength. Sometimes we confuse resilience with endurance, but resilience isn't about pretending everything is fine. It's about accepting that it's not, and still moving forward. It's about allowing yourself to feel the pain without letting it consume you. It's about taking one small step, even when your legs are trembling. Because resilience isn't built in comfort. It's forged in chaos. It's not about how fast you get up after a fall. It's about out the courage it takes to try again, even when you're afraid of falling once more. The most powerful thing about resilience is that it transforms pain into purpose. The same wound that once made you question your strength becomes the reason someone else finds theirs. The same struggle that once broke you becomes the message that helps heal another heart. When you choose to rise, you don't rise alone. You give others permission to rise too. So no matter how hard life gets, never forget this. You have survived 100% of your worst days. You've been broken before, and yet here you are, still breathing, still standing, still becoming. That's resilience. It's not about avoiding the storms. It's about learning to dance in the rain. Because when life tries to break you, resilience whispers, you were never meant to stay down. Kindness is one of those rare things that costs nothing but changes everything. In a world that often glorifies power, success, and competition, kindness is sometimes mistaken for weakness. But I believe it's the greatest strength a person can have. To be kind when life has been unkind to you, that's real courage. To smile at someone when your heart is breaking, that's strength. And to forgive when you have every reason not to, that's true power. Kindness doesn't make you smaller. It makes you human in the most beautiful way possible. There was a time I believed that kindness was something you give only when people deserve it. But life has a way of teaching you that the people who seem least deserving of kindness are often the ones who need it most. You never know the battles someone is fighting behind a smile or the pain they carry in silence. A single kind word, a small act of compassion can make someone feel seen again. And sometimes that's all a person needs, to be seen, to be understood, to be reminded that goodness still exists in this world. Kindness isn't always about grand gestures. It's about the small moments, the ones no one else notices. It's about holding the door open for someone, listening without judgment, or simply being present when someone feels invisible. It's about choosing empathy over ego, love over pride. Because when you choose kindness, you don't just change someone's day, you change their heart, and in doing so, you change your own. There will be times when your kindness will be misunderstood or even taken for granted. People might mistake your softness for weakness, your forgiveness for foolishness. But don't let that stop you. Kindness is never wasted. It always finds its way back, often in ways you least expect. You see, every act of kindness creates a ripple, one that touches hearts far beyond your sight. You may never know the impact on. If your gentle words or quiet compassion, but trust me, it matters. The beauty of kindness is that it heals you too. When you show compassion, you remind yourself that you are not defined by what hurt you. You rise above bitterness, above resentment, and you become free. Kindness turns pain into purpose. It allows your wounds to water someone else's growth. It's not about being perfect, it's about being real, about choosing love even when hate feels easier. So be kind, not because life has been easy, but because you understand how hard it can be. Be kind not because everyone deserves it, but because your heart does. Because at the end of the day, people might forget what you said or did, but they will never forget how you made them feel. And if you can make someone feel valued, seen, and loved, then you've already made this world a better place. Consistency is one of the simplest habits to understand, yet one of the hardest to live by. We often dream big, make promises to ourselves, set goals that excite us. But somewhere along the way, we lose momentum. We expect results overnight, and when they don't come, we give up, thinking maybe we're not good enough. But the truth is, success, healing, growth, all of it comes from the small things you do every single day, not the big things you do once in a while. Consistency is not about perfection. It's about showing up, even when you don't feel like it. There are days when you'll feel motivated and everything will seem possible, but there will also be days when the fire inside you feels like it's fading, when you question whether your efforts even matter. Those are the moments that define you, because anyone can keep going when it's easy. The real test is whether you can keep going when it's hard, when no one's clapping, when no one sees the work you're doing behind closed doors. That's what consistency looks like. Quiet perseverance, the willingness to take one more step, one more try, one more day, even when you feel tired of trying. Consistency builds discipline, and discipline builds destiny. It's what turns ordinary people into extraordinary ones. Every big dream you admire began with small, consistent actions repeated over time. You may not see progress every day, but that doesn't mean it's not happening. Sometimes growth is invisible. Sometimes the most important changes happen beneath the surface, where no one can see them, just like a seed growing roots before it breaks through the soil. I've learned that consistency is not about speed, it's about direction. You can move slowly and still reach your destination as long as you keep moving. You can fall 100 times as long as you keep standing back up. The people who achieve great things aren't always the most talented or the most gifted. They're the ones who refuse to quit. They showed up every day, even when it hurt, even when it seemed pointless, even when they were tired of waiting for results. That's the quiet magic of consistency. When you stay consistent, something beautiful happens. You start trusting yourself. You stop doubting your ability to follow through. You build a kind of inner strength that no one can take away from you. Because every time you keep a promise to yourself, you prove that you are capable, that you are committed, that you are enough. So don't wait for the perfect moment or the perfect feeling. Start where you are, with what you have, and keep showing up. Even the smallest steps, taken every day, will lead you somewhere extraordinary. Because consistency doesn't just change what you achieve, it changes who you become. Faith is something we often talk about when everything feels uncertain. But the truth is, faith matters the most when you have every reason to stop believing. It's easy to have faith when life is kind, when plans work out, when the road ahead is clear. But real faith begins when everything around you falls apart and you still whisper, "I trust the process." Faith is not about having all the answers. It's about believing that even in the silence, even in the waiting, there is purpose in what you're going through. Sometimes life doesn't give you explanations. It gives you experiences. You may not understand why something happened, why a door closed, or why people left when you needed them the most. But faith reminds you that nothing is wasted. Every delay, every disappointment, every heartbreak is part of something bigger, something you may not see yet. But one day, it will make sense. Faith doesn't remove the pain, but it gives you the strength to endure it. It allows you to walk through the storm, knowing that the sun still exists, even if you can't see it right now. I've learned that faith is not passive, it's active. It's not just sitting back and waiting for things to happen. It's moving forward, one step at a time, even when the path is dark. It's trusting that each step is leading you somewhere meaningful. Sometimes you have to let go of your plan to make space for the plan that's meant for you, and that requires surrender, patience, and trust. 3 of the hardest lessons faith teaches us. But once you learn them, life begins to flow differently. Faith also teaches humility. It reminds us that we are not always in control, and that's okay. We don't have to understand everything. We just have to keep believing. The timing you're waiting for might not be delayed. It might be perfect, just not revealed yet. And the thing you thought you lost forever might return in a better form than you could have imagined. That's the beauty of faith. It allows you to rest in the unknown, to find peace even when life makes no sense. There will be days when your faith will feel small, fragile, almost gone. On those days, hold on to even the tiniest bit of hope. Because faith doesn't have to be loud. Sometimes it's just a whisper that says, keep going. It's that quiet courage that reminds you that what's meant for you will never miss you, and what's not meant for you will never stay. So when life shakes your confidence, when the future feels uncertain, and when everything seems to be falling apart, choose faith. Because faith is not about seeing the path ahead. It's about trusting that you're being guided exactly where you need to be.